I noticed now that if things are not going the right way, like you need to double down. Like instead of retreating, it's Mr. Mulhern told me this. Mr. Bruce Mulhern, rest in peace. He said to me, Jose, you remind me a lot of myself when I was younger. He owned 25 offices, prudential offices. And he goes, you're like a go-getter, but at one point it's fight or flight. So it's either you're going to stand up and fight or you're going to, fade away. And so I think at that point in my career, I didn't really kind of understand that. And now looking back, it's anytime I start to kind of feel overwhelmed or anything like that, instead of me saying, hey, well, I don't feel like going into work because I don't feel good. I'll show up at 6, 7 a.m.
Welcome to the Level Up Podcast. Our goal is that by listening to our podcast, you will be inspired to level up. With the help of some amazing guests, we'll be inspired by some inspirational success stories and find out how you can level up your business, your life, and your relationship with yourself. Because I know that by leveling up and balancing these three aspects of your life, you can make a difference and impact the lives around you. Level Up Podcast will be a series of interviews featuring successful professionals who are making a mark and a difference in their lives and others. They will share their incredible stories of how they did it, so you can be inspired and learn from the very best.
So first of all, Jose, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for taking the time to be with me. It's amazing. I got to meet with you not too long ago in person. I've known you for a long time. Heard great things about you. Always knew that you were killing it, that you were doing amazing, and got the pleasure and the honor to meet with you not too long ago. And you definitely made a huge, huge impact on how I see our business and how I see the potential in our business. So thank you for the opportunity to meet you, and thank you for being here today. The goal of our podcast is to share your story, to share where you came from, where were the beginnings, how do you got inspired to get into the business, and just get to know who Jose is. So if you don't mind, tell me a little about who you are, where you're from, and how do we get here today?
Yeah. So people that don't know me, my name is Jose Samano, Jose Roberto Samano, right? And I was born in Mexico. I was born in Mexico, and I came to the U.S. when I was 9 years old.
Okay.
Um, my mom brought me. She was able to get a visa, and she brought me when I was 9. And um, I learned how to speak English really quickly. I found out that there was a pizza party program in our school. So whoever read the most books got invited to a pizza party, and I
Okay.
loved pizza. So I made sure that I read a ton of books, and that actually kind of helped me with, just learning how to speak English a lot faster. And the second year, so I passed my ESL classes like in the first year that I was in my class, and then the
Awesome.
second year they actually asked me to be the translator for a lot of the kids that were from
Oh,
Mexico, Central America, South America. So I've always, I guess, been in this position. Looking back in hindsight, I had to tell them everything. Like literally, as the teacher was speaking, I was translating to them like what was the task, what was going on, and funny story is actually one of those clients or one of those people. His name is Tony. I actually helped them purchase a home 2 years ago, which
oh
was
my
like
God.
full
What a
circle.
full circle. Yes, that is
Yeah,
a beautiful
and
story.
yeah, and then so my mom obviously is a single parent, and there was a lot of me being at home by myself, and you know with any immigrant story, right? Like you're having to be the translator for your mother. You're having to be the decision maker at a young age because mom was like, "What insurance should I pick? Oh, well, this one,
Right,
Mom.
right.
What classes should you take? I don't know, mom. I think these ones. PE all day, right?" And then so always, I didn't want to be a burden for my mother, so I always kind of tried to do the right thing. Try to make
Okay.
sure, put myself in her shoes and do what was right. And then when I was 16, 17, I got an opportunity to work for one of my cousin's offices as a kind of like a receptionist. And back in
Uh-huh.
the day, we needed to put stuff into packages and do things like that, right? Because that's how you would save all of the files. I don't know if you remember
Right,
that.
right.
Right?
Absolutely, I do.
And so we needed to do that, and then so I did that for about 3 months, 4 months, and then I got fired uh, because I would show up with like wrinkly shirts, which sometimes
But
I
you need
still
to look your best,
I,
okay?
yeah, so he was just like, "You need to look sharper," and I was like, "Dude, I'm 16. Like, I'm getting on a bus to get here. Like, relax,
Right,
right?"
right, right,
But
right.
then at 18, 19, he created like a loan company, and he was like, "Hey, well, why don't you? I know you're good at math. Why don't we start doing loans or whatever?" And I
Mhm.
said, "Well, yeah, I mean, let's do it." And in 6 months, I was running the entire refi department. In a year, I
Wow.
was doing all the purchases for the office. And then 2 years after that, I parted ways and I went to go work at a company called Bear Stearns. I
Okay.
was their 12th employee and their youngest employee. Then I was in the state of California. They're the 12th employee for the state of California. And they came up with like, the option arm loan, right? But this
Oh,
time I
yes,
was
back then.
actually,
Yes, yes.
yeah. And then so I was working in the bank, right? So I was seeing underwriters, I was seeing funders, I was seeing doc drawers, I was seeing people in secondary packaging the loans, pricing. And so it gave me like a pretty good in-depth idea of like the behind the scenes once I submitted a loan, since I was on this side of the world. It
Mm-hmm,
gave me
mm-hmm.
a look inside of what an actual bank
Behind,
looks.
right.
And I worked there for about 2 years, and people really liked me there, and I worked my butt off, and after that, the recession happened in 2008, and I was one of the people that volunteered to be laid off. I felt like, I gotten to know a lot of the people that worked there, and I didn't necessarily needed to support a family or anything like that. It was just me. So for me, the right thing was for me to be let go and to keep the people at the office that that were that have a family or needed to support someone, to have an opportunity. And one of my friends, his name is Henry, he goes, "Hey, Jose, I have a ton of business." And actually, a former friend of ours, well, a friend of ours, Mary Lou Bailon, he was working with Mary Lou. And
Uh-huh.
um, it was, let's just say, there wasn't as many deals as I thought there was, because this is
Is that,
2000.
isn't that interesting? A lot of times we always hear like, "Oh, there's so much business going on," and what do they call it? I always think the grass is green on the other side until you get there, right? And then you realize it's not as green as they painted, right? But let's
Yes.
let's talk a little bit about going back. I wanted to touch bases about the beginnings because a lot of times, again, we want to show that our audience today. You said you started working at 16 years old, right?
Yes. Mhm.
So, going back to the 16-year-old self,
Mhm.
what would you tell Jose if you had a chance to see him again today and said, "Okay, here's where you were at 16. This is what you did." What would you do differently? What would be the things you'll say, Jose? Make sure you do this instead of that. Is there any special something that you did that you wish could have done better, or you wouldn't done necessarily?
I mean, I wish I probably would have worked at I mean, in a way, I guess I would have wished I would have worked at like at a bank institution where I had a little bit more help. Now, at 16, no. So like at 16, I mean, honestly,
It
I,
was just what it was there to do, and the
yeah,
experience moved
yeah.
on.
I mean,
So maybe
that's
at 18 when you actually went into the lending?
Yeah, before I made the decision to jump at Bear Stearns, I should have probably maybe tried to be a loan officer, because
Okay.
I was really good at packaging deals. Like, I mean,
Okay.
that's the one thing that I could tell people. Before you become a loan officer, be a processor first, right?
Right.
It allows you to understand a large volume of files very quickly,
Mhm.
so you get
Mhm.
really good really fast. So my
Okay.
first year, I think I knocked out like 200 loans. My
Okay.
second year, like 300, right? This is process
Wow.
wise, right? So I
Mhm.
literally will have a stack of fundings, a stack of doc drawing, a stack of approved submissions, approved with conditions, and then so it really helped me like move really fast, create processes and systems for me to be able to kind of accomplish whatever I needed to accomplish. And one of the things for me is like, like Bill Gates says, right? Find the laziest person to do a job so it'll be so they can simplify it. And I think I'm kind of like that. I don't necessarily want to say I'm lazy, but I like to simplify things. I don't like redundancy. I like to create, just shortcuts and processes to
Makes
just
sense.
make it
Makes
easier
sense.
for everyone. hmm
Right,
And
right.
so I would say that would be one thing, and then the second thing would be once I, took a leap of faith that I would probably want to have mentored under somebody.
It's gonna
That
be
would have
good.
been
Yes.
the thing, just to watch what they
Something good.
do, they do everything. Yeah,
Now,
those are
was it anybody you did mention something about your cousin or someone, a family member that was already in the business? Was there anybody else who said that motivated you to get into the mortgage? And we're going to talk about later about because you're no longer doing mortgages, which is interesting, but
yeah,
that's where your beginnings were. So
yeah.
understanding that part of the business, I think, has really made a big difference in your business because now you can understand the other side where a lot of times people just get into the real estate and never get to see the lending and their expectations sometimes are a little bit again, but we're not going to go there. So anybody other than your cousin you saw that you motivated you to say here's what I
Here's
want
what
to
I
be doing?
want to. My mother, watching my mom
Okay.
work 12-hour days. I tell people it's like from when I was 9 years old, my mom showed me how to get to school one time. I never missed a day of school till my senior year in high school. Right.
Wow.
So my mom would go to work at like 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning. She would leave me my meal pass and $1. And she was like, all right, mijo, go to school, go do your thing. And whether it was raining or not, like it didn't matter what it was. So I would show up to school like drenched, like, and my teachers were like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I had to walk here. They're like, you had to walk? Don't you have an umbrella? And I'm like, uh, do you know Santa Ana wind? It's not easy to carry an umbrella when there's like all this wind coming at you. And so that was one of the things. I had to do my own laundry, like help my mom with that
So
kind of stuff. And yeah, so it's very
so
independent at a
going
very
so
young
going
age.
there going there a little bit. I mean, so your mom really really made you be self-sufficient,
Yeah,
independent, and taught you how to move on through life on your own. So it really were great beginnings. I mean, yeah, sometimes this is what I've always noticed that a lot of times some of the hardest things we have to go through in life, and sometimes early on in life, is what shape
yeah,
us to be who we are. Because if it
yeah.
wasn't for that type of again environment that you got brought in, you probably wouldn't be here today, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, my mom really did never really kind of gave me a ceiling, which was always nice. Like my mom was like, "Oh, well, don't do that because that's too much, or don't do this, or whatever," right? Like my mom was never really kind of like that. It was always her like, "Mom, I'm gonna go do real estate." So it's like, "Sí, hazlo, mijo. Like no importa,"
She will
right?
support you.
Yeah, like she just didn't know. And then I was like, Mom, I'm gonna get my real estate license. She's like, okay. And actually, my cousin was the one that pushed me. He's like, just get your license. I'm like, I don't do real estate. He's like, just get it. And I was like, all right, whatever. So I went and I took it. And the same thing for my broker's license. My friend Henry one day was like, you know what, dude? Why don't you just get your broker's license? I was 23 at the time. And I was like, well, why don't I get my broker's license? Why not? So I went and
Why
applied
not?
for the test, failed it the first time, but I passed it the second time. So I was excited about that.
That is amazing. What is the
Yeah, so
one
it's
of the
always
lessons? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
so it's kind of like always been really just like somebody telling me like, hey, why don't you do this? And I'm just like, yeah, why not? Let's go do it, right?
Why not?
And
Right.
and I didn't really kind of look at it as a difficult thing. I don't look at anything as like a difficult thing. I look at it as a process. So whether I
Process.
failed today once, I fail at it again tomorrow. I'm gonna come up on top one day. So it just two L's make a W. Two losses will make a win if you look at it like that.
I love that analogy. So yeah, to yeah. Let me ask you: is there any important lessons you learn in life that you think okay, and you already touched on one, but any other lesson you feel like this really shaped me and this has really taught me something that I now because of it I'm here and I'm seeing the results of my again fruits of my labor.
Yeah, I mean, one of my cousins that's like that I know that that's pretty well off. Actually, two of my cousins. One of them told me make sure you come in on Saturday. To work your butt off, right?
Okay.
Because I get most of my deals in on Saturday, so I work Monday through Saturday typically, right?
Okay.
And then my other cousin told me because he's very well off. So I would always ask him like, "Hey, dude, so how do you do it? Like, how do you have a plane? How do you have like all this money? How do you get to travel the world? Like, what do you do? Like, give me the
Mm-hmm.
secret, right?" And he
Yeah.
goes, "All right, I'm gonna tell you the secret. The secret is
Mm-hmm.
show up at 8 and get to work every day." And I was like, "Come on, bro!
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not really a secret." He goes, "Yeah, that's the secret. That's the secret. Just show up to work. Show up to work early and get to work and be disciplined, and that's it. There's nothing else. 90% of it is showing up." And so that's the thing that we tell our agents too nowadays. I tell them my story, and I said, dude, since I was 18 years old, I showed up at 8 or 9 o'clock at the office Monday through Saturday my entire career for 19 years.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Now let me ask you: is there any regrets that you have that you wished that you did, or you wish you could have done earlier than later?
regrets. I mean, at one point, I've had a lot of ups and downs in my career. Like I had my first mortgage company in 2010. 2011, I had a real estate company. I opened two real estate companies. In 2013, I switched over to the real estate side, and I was doing like flips and things like that. And my business was kind of going down because I was having a little bit too much on my plate. And I decided to um, unknowingly, not knowing how to cope through those things and, all the problems that come, like, more money is more problems. That is true. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so, not understanding how to cope with that and creating the correct coping mechanisms to, fail and fail, very like a lot, like just falling off of things. And I noticed now that if things are not going the right way, like you need to double down. Like instead of retreating, it's
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Mulhern told me this. Mr. Bruce Mulhern, rest in peace. He said to me, Jose, you remind me a lot of myself when I was younger. He owned 25 offices, prudential offices. And he goes, you're like a go-getter, but at one point it's fight or flight. So it's either you're going to stand up and fight or you're going to, fade away. And so I think at that point in my career, I didn't really kind of understand that. And now looking back, it's anytime I start to kind of feel overwhelmed or anything like that, instead of me saying, hey, well, I don't feel like going into work because I don't feel good. I'll show up at 6, 7 a.m., because it's only a momentary amount of time that you're going to go through that process.
Yes.
So the more you put it away, the worse it gets. And so,
Yes.
I'm still guilty of doing that here from time to time, but, I try to remind myself of, do you want to be in that same position or do you want to come up on top again? So,
Yes. And
so
that's very and that's yeah, and that's very important, Jose, that we share that with the audience because a lot of times, people see you successful now and they see the results and they see that, the success side of our business, of our story, of our lives, but they didn't see you when you were in those days that you were not feeling well, that you were not feeling at your best, that you were not feeling worth of, getting those results. And you still got up and you still went and did it. So something that I've always encouraged everybody that I came in contact with, your discipline and your consistency will get you the results.
correct. Correct. And then so sometimes you gotta lose yourself to find yourself, is it's really true, at least in my end, I kind of, pushed myself to the edge on that end. And I just started, doing little things, like from somebody was I was on the phone once and somebody was like, dude, you sound like these guys that like talk about like, like deals and like you sound like these podcast people. And I was like, you should. I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, you should take this book. And they gave me like a Grant Cardone book, and
Okay.
I was listening to it, and I was like, I don't sound like this guy. This guy has an accent from like south, like the South, and I'm
Uh-huh.
like from like Mexico. Like I have like a Mexican accent, and then so. And she goes like, "No, dummy. Like the way you're saying things, it sounds kind of like that." And I
Yeah.
said, "Okay, cool." So I started really getting involved into just, car university, right? So I started listening
Uh-huh.
to books, all the time. Like people were so tired of me listening to audible tapes in my car. Like I literally would do that all day, and I think that was a big thing in my career that helped me, start capitalizing on leads and things
That's
like
your
that.
mindset, because a lot of times we need help. A lot of times people don't realize that even though you be self-motivated, even though you try to be this example, there are days that you also need some help. Like I remember at one point I was listening to Tony Robbins.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'll kid you not that somebody in my family said one day, "When are you gonna stop listening?" I said, "Well, when I don't need him. Right now, I know I need it. I need it. I need to have this reminders. I need to have this thing on my ear that reminds me that I can do this, that I can, make it happen, that I can go do accomplish things." Because, again, it's so easy to fell off. Like, oh, today I don't feel good. Let's just not go in. Oh, tomorrow, I'm gonna go in late. And then before you know, that week that could be productive ended up being a disaster because you didn't push yourself to go there. You said the videos, I mean, the audio tapes. Do you believe in mentoring, coaching? Is there anybody specific that you had help from in terms of coaching you through those times?
Honestly, I didn't, and that's the one thing that I've kind of regret. But I did
Okay.
have people that influenced me. One of my friends,
Okay.
Paul Alvarado. I don't think he knows how much
Impacted you.
to me. He made a cool statement one time, and he was like, "Dude, it's off and on. It's just an off and on switch. You
Wow.
choose to make the wrong decisions, and I choose to make the right decisions. That's why I'm here." And so
Wow.
we all have that same choice. But it's you overcomplicate it. It's not that complicated. It's either you're doing the right thing or you're not doing the right thing, and that's going to lead you down the path that you see for yourself. So he's extremely disciplined, and I admire that about him, and what he does. And so that was a person in that particular time. Now today, my partner Jeffrey McGonigal, like him and his wife Monse are just an inspiration to me, and just trying to get better and just being surrounded with people like that. My onboarding manager, office manager Ruben, like he's amazing. Like he impresses us every single day, bringing in like new things that we didn't even know he could do, that now we're giving him an opportunity to do. And he's just like blowing us out of the water with AI and automations and things that we were like, dude, you're our onboarding guy. Like, where did this come from?
Where did this came from, right?
And
That's
so
amazing.
it's just been everyone around us, like all the success coaches in our office, from Cirillo to Sylvia to Abraham, Jojo, Jerry, Jocelyn, putting in a lot of hard work. I see how hard they work, and it just makes me want to work harder. Like it just I don't want to disappoint them, and
Very.
so
I was gonna ask you what motivates you, because a lot of times, again, we have to find that switch that was gonna help us get it on when again it's off or it's slow, and we get it up. What motivates you?
Well, there's two things. One of the things I tell people is like in Mexican families is pretty known for like parents to be a little bit, for like certain punishments and stuff like that. Um, but I grew up with my grandma, and so like grandparents make the best parents, I like to say.
They
And
do.
my grandma never really kind of showed me respect in that way. So my grandma would sit down with me, would talk to me, would tell me like, hey, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. You got to do your homework. You got to do this. You got to do that. So I learned respect through like love, right? Through my grandmother. And it
Mhm.
was, you know, um, even with my mom like never yelled at me really. Like I was always just, I was just always did the right thing. Like I never remember a moment where my mom was like "Hijo de la chingada," like like those kind of things. Like I don't remember that kind of things. It was always just I did not want to disappoint my grandparents or my mom, and nor did I want to be a burden on them. So I just
Yes.
always tried to do the right thing. I would say that's one thing, and then the other thing, my mom would always tell me, I brought you to this country to give you an opportunity because you wouldn't have had one where you
That's
were
so.
at.
It gets me the chills, because you know what? A lot of times we don't realize how lucky we are. We don't
Yeah,
realize what an opportunity we have to be here, where the sky is the limit, where the opportunities are endless, where you have the chance to again come as an immigrant, do what you're supposed to do, apply yourself, and
yeah,
do it, and get to see the results, and be again that inspiration to others. and some people never have an opportunity.
Yeah, and then so now that I have an opportunity. It's like, and I have the opportunity to give other people an opportunity. I feel like it's my duty to do that. And
Yes,
so, we're trying to create a platform to give as many people that want it an opportunity to not only better themselves, to get into this real estate industry, to really learn how to do real estate in today's time, because real estate has changed so much since I
yes,
got started. And I feel like we are on this path of like the future of real estate agents and what it's really going to take for you to succeed in the years to come. And so we've been on this path for now. For me, it's been about 10 years. For our office, it's been about 2 years. With my team, it's been about 5 years. And
beautiful.
we're just I feel like we're heading in the right direction. It's learning new tools. I feel like the industry is changing from the non-professional agent into the professional agent, which I
Yes,
like. I like people to take this as a real career, not
yes.
necessarily looking at this as a part-time job. And not knocking anybody who's doing this part-time. If you are,
Mhm.
I commend you, and I know it's
No, and you do
difficult.
what you think is good for you at this particular time. I mean, there are a lot of people that I've known in the business. I've been doing it for 16 years. I've always been in the lending side. I've stayed in the lending side. I love the loan side of our business. But I always said, do what works for you. Do what's best for you at this stage of your life. If you do have to do it part time, do it, but do it with all you got. Those afternoons or those mornings or those weekends, dedicated, be at 100%, and do what's necessary. Some people go in and do it part-time for years until their kids get older. Some people do it
Yeah,
part-time until they get enough income to be able to support themselves. So I think the biggest thing for me is get started, whatever you're comfortable with,
yeah,
but you are doing something even more. Again, like you said, for those who are serious about building this as a career, take it seriously. I mean, tell me, what is it that you're doing with your team? Because I got to see it, and I really want you to share with the audience, because I was blown away. I'm like, if every agent out there had an opportunity to see this,
mm,
what can they do? How much can they accomplish?
yeah. I know, right? And so the first thing is we consider ourselves real estate professional real estate sales athletes, right? And so what that means is, essentially for us, it's like we look at the Kobe analogy, or Michael Jordan analogy, which is, even after they were at their pinnacle, they were still shooting free throws, they were still practicing the basics, they were still doing this stuff. So in our office, we train anywhere from 15 to 25 hours a month. That's
Okay.
like a minimum amount of training that we do.
Hmm, hmm.
That's not including, like, when we have trainings from industry leaders, from Zillow to Homelight to First American. We had a 1031 exchange class today. We have a YouTube class the next day. We have just so many classes, and we're constantly role playing. We role
Hmm.
play Tuesday through Thursday, and for some people that really want to just take advantage of an extra day, I'll even do an extra role play on Fridays. For
Okay.
anybody that it's off the books, but if they want to do it, we just do it, and we'll train on anything that they want to go over, whether it's listings or buyers or whatever, right? And that consistency over time really has allowed us to develop agents. I mean, some agents in my office, 2 weeks into being in my office, they get a listing, they get a buyer. Now we also have agents that are in our office for 3 to 6 months. Everyone's journey is going to be a little different,
Yes.
right? And for some people already have a sales background. Some people already have a natural sales ability. For some people, we have to develop that muscle. But I can tell
Yes.
you that over time, you can become a great sales athlete as long as you put in the work, right? And
Mhm.
so we have people that are like, my favorites are the shy ones who are like so like timid.
Introverts, right? I don't talk to
Yeah,
anybody. I'm not good at sales. I don't know if I can do this. And
yeah.
then
And
you give them the little, then you leave them the little hilito, and boom, they take off,
don't
right?
just tell, right? And then
Yes.
so especially with today's consumers, about educating them, giving them
Yes.
value, right? So we're going to give you all the tools, all that kind of stuff. And the one thing that we do different is that we don't think agents are lazy, which is what a lot of brokers sometimes say about agents. what we think is agents are overburdened and are having to wear too many hats, excuse the pun, right? And they're having to
Mhm.
do too many things. Like you got to be the Fizbo guy, you got to be the Mojo Dialer guy, you got to be the Z Buyer guy, you got to be the Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, you got to door knock, you got to host open houses, you got to show homes. And I'm like, so when do you write offers and do listing contracts? And so we take care of a lot of the lead generating for the agents, and we
Mhm.
take care of a lot of the nurturing for the agents. So they just focus on conversion. And so to give you an example, this year we've already at over 300,000 phone calls for the year, was
Okay.
something we're super proud of. That's as a team.
Mhm.
We are over 12,000 appointments as a team for the office.
Wow. Mhm.
And these are appointments that are generated from us or from our agents from their open houses. And this is just the type of environment that we want to create, the type of tenacity and grit that you need in today's market. It's not going to take
Mhm.
the same amount of effort that you did last year to be successful this year, right?
Absolutely. And that's
And
something that I was gonna ask you to cover because again you said something about earlier what a real estate agent used to do 10 years ago to us today. Markets changes, um, the shift came, we're in the middle of it. What are we doing to pivot during this time? And you just brought up a couple points. So what are you agents doing differently of what is going on out there in the market? Because most people, and this is true, you and I talked about it, some of them are like exiting the business. Oh, it's done, I can't do it, there's not enough business. But
yeah,
then I go to your office and everybody's getting listing appointments, everybody's on the phone. It's creating that environment where people are able to succeed during this market.
it's funny because a lot of times, like, we'll have agents in our office. They're like, everybody keeps saying that the market's changing, but I don't notice
I
it.
don't
Like,
feel it.
I don't feel it. What's going on? And I'm like, you don't feel it because you're making 50 dials a day, right? I always say,
Yes.
an appointment a day keeps the bills away, right? And so
That's a good one.
yeah, and then so just 50 dials in our office should be able to get you some sort of contact or some sort of appointment. Again, we're constantly buying leads for our office, for our agents, and then we have inside sales agents dialing those leads as well for our agent, and then we have loan officers like yourself also dialing leads for our agent. So it's a team effort here. This is not a if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, we got to go together. And so
Yes.
it's a big shift in the way that
I
we
agree. I agree 1,000%. And you said something earlier that I want to bring up right now because again, it comes handy right now. Like
yeah,
surround yourself with the right people. Like I've always pride myself aligning myself with the right agents, aligning myself with the right people because at the end of the day, we are a team. Whether you're a lender, whether you're a real estate agent, whether you're an escrow company, whether whatever your piece of the puzzle, we are a team and we need to surround ourselves with the right people. Don't
correct.
you agree?
I definitely agree. It's extremely important to uh, for your partners, especially like I said, it just takes way more effort to be able to get a deal into escrow. And another thing I tell people is like, do you guys know that you guys are in the Southern California market? Like, this is not the easiest market. Like, we're in one of the top market. Like, if you can make it here, you can make it in any state,
Anywhere.
any
Yes.
state, right? And so like I just it's just gonna take that much effort. Like our price points are like 900,000 in Orange County, right? Like you go to
Yes.
Arkansas, and not knocking my Arkansas people, but it's like 150K, right? And so you
150.
can sell 100. Like one of the things that people say, which is like it's the same thing selling $100,000 home than it is $1 million home. I mean, it might be the same processes, but it's not the same thing,
No,
right? It's the conversation that you're having is different. Your how you
absolutely.
press the client, how you approach the client is different.
Mhm.
The amount of knowledge that you need to have is different. The amount of experiences that you need to have in order for you to be relatable and to understand are different, right? $1 million buyer is talking about a CPA. A $200,000 buyer is talking about a tax preparer, right? Those are two different things,
Exactly.
right? So there's a little nuance there, and again, not knocking everybody. It's just it is what it is, and so you got to be comfortable with having those conversations and understanding where they're coming from, and like sometimes I think we took a $2 million listing the other day, and they were talking about going to Italy and being in this areas and that area. Luckily,
Right,
the agent
right.
was, had been in those areas as well, and she was able to knock out that appointment. And the agent ended up picking us, or the client ended up picking us because of that,
Yeah.
because they had
It
similar
does,
experience.
it does take certain type of, again, a muscle. It does take certain amount of practice to be able to get to those levels of success. We
Yeah.
talked about, getting up and getting things done. Do you have a morning routine, Jose? Can you share with us?
To be honest with you, like my morning routine has changed quite a bit, but I'm getting back
Okay.
into it.
All right.
Um,
And it's
so
okay. You know what? This is the thing I've always said. You can have a morning routine and you do not have to have one, but at the end of the day, what works for you? What gets you, again, on the mindset to say, today I'm going to go and I'm going to give my best. Today I'm going to get up. For me, I'm very structured. I do have to have a morning routine to get myself ready for the day. Some people are able to just get up and do one, two things and they're out ready to go. What is yours like?
yeah, mine's kind of like that. I can just kind of get up, but like usually, I'll wake up at 6:30. Sometimes I'll, typically by 6:30 I'm already up. I'll feed my dog, and I try to do my late night routine. So I try
Okay.
to at the
So
end of the night.
what is your late night routine? Tell us about that.
So it's my emails and all of the notes that I took for the day. I try to repurpose them and put them for the next day. And then I have like a tab on my Google Chrome that says research later, and then I have the little star button for all my emails that I couldn't read in depth and research and take my time. So I do those at night. Anything I can reply right away, I reply right away. But anything that's gonna take me a while to research or anything like that, I star it, and then I can think about it at night and kind of slow down. And then I also try to read all my text messages from that
Okay.
day, because I
Okay.
always find that I forgot one or two people that I was supposed to contact back or whatever. And then so I'll put them on my to do list for phone calls. And I really try to do that and plan my day as much as I can. If I don't ever do that, you'll find me kind of running around like not knowing what to do. Because in the mornings, for me, by like 9 a.m., 8:30 typically, it's already like boom, like it's
Offer
going,
and
you know?
going
Yeah. And then so I try to really plan my day the night before.
the night before. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
because I need
amazing.
to attack the day. So that's
Yeah.
my whole mentality is I need to attack the day. I can't let the day attack me because I feel like life is a bully and it's always trying to figure out ways to like bully you, whether it's getting a broken window, flat tire, the deal didn't go your way,
Right.
or like, and then so I feel like life is just kind of like that a lot of the times. It's just how you cope with it, and so I always just says I'm not gonna let you be a bully to me today, man. I'm gonna beat you today. And
I'm ready. I'm ready for you. Bring it on,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now, another question
Another
I wanted
question
to
I
ask
wanted to
you,
ask
and I know you and I
you,
talked a little bit about a baby. How do you balance life, work, family now coming to be a new dad? How does
and
that look like for Jose?
honestly, my wife is amazing. She is my rock. She is who has kept me sane through a lot of these things, and it's somebody
Okay.
that I know that loves me. And whatever decision I make, whether it's good or bad, I know she's always extremely supportive of what I do, and it's just a love that I get from her that's like unconditional. And she really kind of believes in me. And I've had my ups and downs. So I'm human. I make mistakes.
Okay.
One of the things is, I'm trying to figure out my work life balance because when you're in this, to be honest with you, to be able to do what it is that we're trying to do, it's going to be hard to have a work life balance. So I have more of a partner and somebody that really kind of understands where I'm coming from. And we had to have a talk one moment in life, and I said, "Look, honey, it's either you're going to be with a guy that's constantly working and it's always chasing something for us to be in whether it's a better situation or for us to just for me it's for me to take advantage of the opportunity that I was given. And so I just need to do it. Like I need to do it for my mother, like I need to do it for you, I need to do it for my child. And so my baby's not born yet. He's going to be born
Yeah,
November 15th.
it's
And so
coming. I know it's coming.
I'm looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to the version of myself that my baby is going to see, because as I'm going through this process, the one thing I remind myself every day is, who do I want my child to know as a parent? And so
Mm-hmm.
that's the
Mm-hmm.
thing that I'm really trying to make sure, make sure I'm waking up early, that I have an amazing attitude towards the day, that nothing really kind of bothers me. These are all things that are like super important to me. I'm trying to right now, even though like as soon as I get home, my first 2 hours, I just, because I typically go home by 7:30.
Mm-hmm.
Most times it's just for my wife. And then I said at 9, you can watch your novela. I'm gonna get to work for the day, and then tomorrow we'll have an amazing day in the morning. So
That is
that's kind of how I do
beautiful.
it.
So that's a great routine. I mean, actually, I like it. I learned something, and I'm gonna share it with you because it really has made a change on me. Since you do things at night, I implemented this only 6 months ago because one of my coaches suggested, take the time to write 3 wins for the day, whatever those were, and
Mhm.
then write 3 wins that you want to accomplish the next day.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
What did I accomplish today, and what is my goal to accomplish tomorrow? And it has
Mhm.
made a huge difference. 3 things that I did today that make me feel good, and what am my goal to do 3 things tomorrow? And it's just amazing. So, and if you do it at night, like you said, you're setting up yourself for the next day.
Yeah, there's a notepad that we use. It's called a remarkable. And so we're always carrying around, my partner Jeff and I. We always have a little remarkable, writing our notes down. We write notes about everything, And it's like we're always writing notes down. But yeah, I mean, it's just life is good. Like I said, there's still a lot of things that happen, and we always wish we're in a better place. But I just sometimes I'll sit down with my wife and I'll just say, we're just so lucky. Sometimes we watch the news, and
Yes.
you watch a lot of things that are happening. And I think it's important to watch those things too, to not be ignorant towards the way the world is actually moving, just because it doesn't make you feel comfortable.
Mhm.
There's a lot of things that are happening that you need to have some awareness for, and make sure that that you just treat people nice. There it's like we again have an amazing opportunity to be here and to
Yes.
get to do what we want every single day. And 4th of July just
And
happened, and
enjoy
you know,
and enjoy life because a lot of times I feel like we're always chasing the next goal and the next, house, the next car, the next number in production or whatever the case might be. And sometimes we don't stop and enjoy the little things, enjoy those moments with the family, with the kids. I mean, I have kids, and I feel like sometimes we go through life and we don't realize how lucky we are. Like my business has given me the opportunity to be present in my kids' lives and their games and their school and all of those things. And I would never have been able to do it if it wasn't because I'm in the business where I have the flexibility to be able to get up and go if I need to, go take care of things if I need to. I mean, I'm sure you probably, as you have your baby, you're gonna come to do those things, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful experience. And enjoying the process. You touched on it a couple of times, but enjoy the journey. There will be days that you're not gonna feel like, but just what? Do it anyway. You're gonna look back, and the only thing you're gonna always remember is like, you know what? I made it through. I was able to overcome that.
yeah. I mean, that's like I said, I don't think I've ever really had a work life balance. I've always been a workaholic. I really enjoy. And so recently, I've been having a little more time. Again, thanks to my team.
Yes.
It's they're doing. I guess they're doing a great job with me, right? But I understand that I'm approaching a different stage in
Stage of
my
your
life.
life. Yes,
Mhm.
a different
And
stage. And it'll be beautiful. I
yeah,
guarantee you.
yeah, and it requires a different version of myself. So I'm getting ready to reinvent myself into somebody that's just slightly different than who I was before. I can tell you that in the
Mhm.
last 2 years, I'm a completely different person than who I was before. Um,
Beautiful.
just even in the last 5 years, I mean, if you knew me 5 years ago till the person that I am today, it's night and day. And
Wow.
I it's
And what made that change? Tell me what happened 5 years ago that made you to be now a completely different version of yourself.
my
What changed?
failures,
There you go. Okay.
my failures being. like just like literally I had made $1 million when I was like 25, 26, and then I lost everything to the point where I needed to live back at my sister's house. And thank you to my sister and my brother-in-law for giving me an opportunity. And I just kind of really lost myself, because like I said, it just takes a little bit. I went through depression, I went through all these things. And one day I just said, enough, like this is not who I want to be. And I need to be a different person. And I started again working at a Remax office, and I helped that Remax along with a few other folks to get up all the way up to 350 million. I got
Uh-huh.
an opportunity at a second office. I took that office from 0 to 30 million a month in production in about 6 months, and then I was given an opportunity to work for EXP. And at EXP, with the help of a friend of mine, Leo, somebody I know and respect, and he helped me out. And we all kind of put in a lot of work. Limairi, she's also somebody that helped me quite a bit. And it's just I just want to say thank you to them, but at the same time, it requires a ton of work to do what we do, right?
Right.
And it's like being in there every single day, working 12 hours every single day, being in the trenches with your agents, really earning their respect and doing all of that, takes a lot of effort. And in that 2 year, 2.5 year period, we've closed 1,300 transactions and hit about $1 billion in production. So it's something that we're super proud of, but it doesn't come, like a lot of people think. It's just like, oh yeah, Jose just wakes up and gets a deal. It's like, no, like
And they just drop in. They just show up.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
even just having a Zillow Flex relationship, I
Mhm.
mean, you're talking about I lost thousands of dollars learning how to use Zillow, and understanding the nuances, understanding that I couldn't take 80 leads a month,
Mhm.
understanding that I couldn't take not even 30 leads a month, right? That I
Mhm.
needed a team and that I needed this and that, and I needed a great lending partner. Shout
Mhm.
out to Neil, like all these
Yeah.
things that you need in order for the ship to be going in the right direction. And it's constantly you throwing water, outside of the
Wow,
ship. It's like,
out of the boat, so it doesn't sink in, right?
yeah, yeah, gotta keep rolling, and
That
it's
is
just fun.
awesome.
It's just fun. It's that's why we
We
do it.
enjoy we enjoy the ride, Jose. I think we learn to enjoy the ride because again, there's always things coming our way in our industry and our business, even in life. I heard this coach once told us, and he said a lot of people wait for the right time. They're always waiting for the right opportunity. And he said, when was the last time that your life was perfect? Everything was in place,
yeah,
and we all looked at each other like, "Pff, never." So then, why are you waiting for?
yeah. It's
Get
never
up
gonna.
and do it. Just get it done. Just get going with it. He goes, it'll never be the perfect time. So just what? Do it anyway.
It's funny that you say that because my wife and I, when when she found out I was pregnant, she was like, "Are we ready?" And I was like, "Well, I'm 37 years old. You're 30. When are we gonna be ready? When I'm 50?"
Right. Right.
So
Right.
might as well now,
Yes.
like let's go for it,
Yes.
and let's try to be the best version of ourselves as we can. And she's matured so much. She's gone through like a whole process herself, and she's an amazing person.
That is
Like
awesome.
now, it's just
Can't wait to meet that baby Jose soon.
oh yeah, no, it's crazy. I'm excited for it. And my whole family is as well.
Okay.
Everyone is pitching in. Everyone's like, "Hey, baby shower. Hey, this. I'll get you."
Yes, yes. I want to be invited to the baby shower. I want to see the baby Jose coming soon.
Yeah,
Tell me, Jose, what's coming up next for you? I know you have so much going on right now, but tell me, is there any specific new goals that you're working towards? Is there anything specific that you're working on? Um,
yes.
tell me.
We are trying to hit. We have an office in Riverside. We're trying to get
Hmm.
another 100 to 200 agents here in this office.
Okay.
We have plenty of leads. We're looking for people who are full time, people who are ready to go, people who want to make a difference, who want to take their career from 5 deals to 15 deals, from 10 deals. On average, our office, first year agents, never having a license, are going to close 8 to 15 deals. Second
Wow.
year agents close 15 to 25 deals a
Okay.
year, right? That puts you in the top 1% of all the agents in the entire country, specifically in this area, for the volume amount, right? And we're also looking to hit 350 listings. One of the things that we get knocked on a lot is Jose, well, you just work with Zillow. And I'm like, well, yeah, Zillow buyers are also sellers. I don't know if you knew that. And then so a lot of times people are calling on the property they like, but they need to sell the house that they need to buy.
Yes,
And
yes.
so people don't really kind of understand that. And so, um, and then so I tell people,
Thank you for saying that because I am on the lending side and I always tell them because a lot of agents were like, "Oh, I don't want to work with buyers," and I'm like, "You do not understand." Like you said, some of them are calling to buy a house, but they already have a house that they need to sell, or they're gonna be buying today, but they'll be your sellers 2, 3 years from now.
I don't understand anybody who says I don't want to work with buyers. I what I do is I created a buyers team to help me with that. And in our office, you can either be a buyer's agent, you can be a listing agent, you can be a quasi listing agent, meaning that you work with buyers and sellers.
Yes,
We
sellers.
can create a listing team, like so you could be a listing agent and have a buyer's agent team, or you can be a success coach, or you can open up your own branch. So we kind of give you the full spectrum of what you can do within our office. And guess what? You get to get all of our lead sources, everything that we do in our office. We'll coach you and train you. We actually have access to teams that are all doing above 500 million or more. That's part of our mastermind that we have right now that we've created. And it's also to coach other people who are trying to get to that level
Yes.
of production, right? Having the right systems. And it starts honestly with the culture change in your office because everyone is we've been so ingrained that everyone needs to be their own brand and do their own thing and do their own, like, just do your own thing, like, don't work with each other. You guys are all fighting against each other. Even sometimes when you're under the same brand, you're like competing against like each individual agent. And for me, it's like there's really no need to do that. And having a clear understanding of the leads and like the support that we give somebody. Like, we have a pipeline manager that calls you and says, hey, you have 100 leads, let's go over your pipeline. Let's see which leads don't really kind of are going to go anywhere, which ones you may need a little bit of coaching, so I could tell your coach to call you and coach you up on these leads, which ones you want to you need some to send them into the pond so you could get fresh new leads. Or like,
Mhm.
let's figure out what's in your pipeline, that way you don't have a ton of leads just sitting there,
Right.
right? And
Hmm.
so it's just all this help. We also check all their metrics, right? We check how many dials they're making, how many appointments they're doing, what their conversion rate is from lead to closing, from appointment to closing.
That's amazing.
Most agents are flying with no gauges. They're just flying. Like, they don't even know if they're flying at the right altitude. They don't know if they're going at the right speed. They don't know if they're going, down, up. Like, what are you
They're
doing?
not measuring. They're not measuring their activities. They're not measuring these results. So that's amazing.
And that was the same problem for me. So, understanding now that we have the ability to track everyone, not for the sake of micromanaging you, but for the sake of holding you accountable to the goal that you wanted for yourself, is the most important thing for us. So we say, hey, well, you wanted to hit 200,000, you're making one call a day. Do you
Oh,
think,
it's not
are
gonna happen.
well, I wouldn't say that. We just kind of say, do you need to adjust your goal, or are you
Right,
still trying to 100K?
right, right.
I mean, just let me know, because then that way I don't call you. You know, it's
Exactly.
just mainly that, and sometimes you need that.
Accountability. Accountability is amazing because it does allow you to realize what is it that I'm doing and what is it that I'm not doing, because again, in order
Right.
for you to get these results, you have to do the activities. Otherwise, those are not gonna met. If you're not doing the activities, the results are not gonna be there. So wow,
Correct.
that's amazing. But thank you for sharing that. Any final thought you want to leave an audience with? There's any quote you want to say, anything you want to leave us with?
Um, I used to tell myself, like, just always take the first step, because it may lead to the second, and that may be all the momentum that you need to finish this marathon of your career, of life, of whatever it is. And so, whether if you're scared, just take the first step and move forward, because it just sometimes, we watch people like, I don't like dialing on the phones, and I'm like, okay, so you don't like talking to people? And they're like, well, no, it's not that, it's just I don't like it on the phone. And I was like, okay, well, just pretend like the person is there. And I'm like, so you don't like it on the phone, but you like it in person? Like, it's still the same thing. Like,
Right, right.
what are you talking about? You're just making excuses. So I tell them, I was like, if you want to do it together, like if you want to go into a room together, if you want to go into a room and hide for a little bit until you get comfortable enough to have these conversations. But I would just say, and then another thing is that you have the ability to create anything that you want in life, but you have to put enough energy behind it. It's a manifestation doesn't happen without your energy and the energy that you're putting into it.
In the
Uh,
right space.
yeah, and then and positive energy. Make sure you stay positive.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Jose, it's been a pleasure having you. We touches a lot of different things. I know our audience are gonna get tons of aha moments with your story, with what you've been doing, what you're working on, and
Thank you.
definitely I see nothing but more success coming your way. I can already see what's coming. I'm so lucky and happy to have been able to get in touch with you in this life in this particular time in our career. So thank you, thank you. Wishing you the best. We'll be in touch and can't wait to see the baby soon.
Oh, yeah, bye. See ya. Thank
Thank you for listening to the Level Up Podcast. You can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, or anywhere else podcasts are found, so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, you can leave a 5-star review on iTunes. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. Until next time, we hope you level up.